시작. 자, 나 잠만 소원 빌게. 좋았어. 늦네. 오케이. 이렇게 볼게. 고마워.
All right, welcome anyone watching on the watch back. Welcome to the stream. If you like the stream, subscribe, consider subscribing, maybe comment your thoughts on any topic that is during the stream. And with that, we shall get started on the maiden one, since it's kind of like the main topic right now. But I mean, the thing I've been kind of going over, but you know, also it's a short video, so we'll cover it. Also, if it wasn't for this person, I would actually not started Maiden at all, because they chose this as at first, the least important thing. Now we're talking about it, thank you. But also, just shout that out. So we're going to react to this 10-minute video, then get to the other stuff. Yeah, so that's it. If you've been following, you know what's going on.
Have demanded justice since the CEO of 143 Entertainment is facing growing outrage after being accused of harassing Maiden's Gaun. Fans have demanded justice since then, and now the pressure has only intensified as Gaun's parents just stepped forward at a press conference, revealing even more serious claims, ones that could finally lead to real consequences for the CEO. As you might recall, late last year, a JTBC program aired a serious report about a girl group member allegedly being harassed by her CEO. The segment shared audio clips of the idol recounting her experience, along with input from her parents and whistleblowers. No names were dropped, and neither the group nor the members were directly identified, as only a blurry screenshot from a performance was shown. But it didn't take long before fans speculated the person involved was Gaun from Maiden. 143 Entertainment denied everything, and soon after, Gaun's departure from the group was announced. Gaun herself stayed silent, and with no official statements from her side, public interest unfortunately faded. While some of her fans continued protesting and boycotting the group's activities, most people moved on. Still, online,
Unfortunately, some move on and some continue to lie about it.
the hashtag Justice for Gaun never disappeared. Supporters kept tweeting, emailing, and doing whatever they could to keep the issue alive. But without wider attention, the case was quietly pushed aside. The issue came back into public attention recently when Gaun finally spoke out through a handwritten letter. She shared that writing it hadn't been easy and that it took her a long time because she kept getting blindsided by false claims she hadn't even heard of before. That made it difficult for her to find the right words or even the courage to say anything. In the letter, she thanked everyone who waited, believed in her, and quietly supported her throughout the silence. She said it was those people who gave her comfort and helped her gather the strength to write the letter at all. Still, she expressed guilt over how long it took, saying she felt sorry for not speaking up sooner. Gaun explained that during that time, she focused on calming herself so her emotions wouldn't take over. She said being an idol wasn't just a job, but that it was a dream she had held on to since childhood. Every moment on stage, every shared glance with fans, and even the sweat and tears from practice were memories she couldn't put into words. But no matter how much she loved it, she admitted there were difficult moments that cast a long shadow over everything else. She explained, "I had to endure unwanted situations, unfair treatment, and unexpected disadvantages, but I never once thought about giving up my dream," adding that she tried to hold everything in for as long as she could, fearing that speaking up might end her dream of being an idol altogether. She admitted that she stayed silent not because it didn't hurt, but because she didn't want to lose everything she'd worked for. She also brought up the JTBC Scandal Supervisor broadcast, saying that after it aired, she didn't hear anything from her company. Instead, she found out she was leaving the group through a news article. There was no explanation.
Another one that left without even knowing they left. Sounds familiar a little bit.
No proper farewell, just silence. Having to walk away like that, without even saying goodbye to her fans, left her deeply hurt. Ga-eun said the whole experience made her feel abandoned and misunderstood, but she made it clear that she wouldn't stay quiet anymore. She was ready to speak openly, to share everything she had kept inside. She ended the letter by thanking those who stood by her and apologizing for the long silence and all the worry it caused. Soon after, it was revealed that Ga-eun's mother would be holding a press conference on April 29th, organized by the Hanbit Media Labor Human Rights Center. The goal was to publicly expose how 143 Entertainment CEO Lee Young-hak mistreated and harassed Ga-eun verbally, emotionally, and the press conference took place in Seoul, with Ga-eun's mother, her lawyer, a former A&R team leader from 143 Entertainment, and representatives from the Human Rights Center all present. It opened with the lawyer announcing that an official complaint had already been filed, and the CEO was now a suspect under police investigation. They stated he had previously
Oh, police investigation. I see. So this could get actually serious now.
confessed to his actions more than once and even apologized to Ga-eun, but later took it all back, denied
Yes, which I shared that actual picture. He apologized back in October and said he would change. Obviously, that was not the case, and he also clarified he would step down, which obviously did not happen.
everything and claimed he never held any authority over her. Ga-eun's mother also took the mic and more details came out. One disturbing claim was that the company tried to divide the MADEIN members. Allegedly,
We did suspect that happened.
the CEO would call the girls in individually under the pretense of offering advice or counseling. Instead, he'd manipulate them, turning them against each other and creating a toxic atmosphere where trust completely broke down. Ga-eun's mother said that she was repeatedly told that if she endured, her daughter would achieve her dream, and if she were to quit halfway, then she would have nothing, so she was technically pressured against speaking out. She added that as parents, they had complete trust in their child, so they were afraid that if they were to say anything to the CEO or the company higher-ups, then they would cause harm to Ga-eun, so they decided against it. However, she said that despite all the things she was going through, her daughter still wanted to continue idol activities, so the mother would try to make things better by telling her that the CEO cared about her. However, the truth was much different, as the company had them under constant surveillance. It was alleged that the members were under such strict supervision at their dorms by the CEO to the point that they weren't allowed to contact friends or acquaintances. The mother also claimed that in one instance, Ga-eun contacted her dance teacher, so the CEO came to their dorms without even considering the hour and inspected their phones entirely, a search that lasted all day. Regarding the most serious allegations, Ga-eun's mother shared that the harassment began with minor physical contact, but things escalated after Ga-eun graduated from high school. When Ga-eun told him to stop, the retaliation was swift as she faced ongoing mistreatment and unfair conditions.
Wait. So it was before she was even legal age. Yeah, okay, that changes even worse.
At work as a result. The mother said, "When I heard what happened to her, I felt like a sinner. The child sent me distress signals a few times, but I didn't listen. As a result of ignoring her, something unimaginable happened to the child." Ga-eun's mother explained that the harassment began when Ga-eun was still a trainee and continued as she grew older. Despite everything, Ga-eun loved being an idol and believed things would improve if the CEO stepped back. However, even after he claimed he would resign, he still showed up at schedules, acting as if nothing had happened, sometimes even whistling casually. This behavior deeply affected Ga-eun, and her mother recalled a moment when Ga-eun broke down in tears, saying the whistling haunted her and made her feel like she was losing her mind. From the JTBC broadcast, we know that Ga-eun's parents informed the company about the situation, but nothing changed. It was also revealed that the recording played during the broadcast was made without Ga-eun's knowledge or consent. Her parents had kept quiet for Ga-eun's sake, hoping to protect her dream and future. But after the broadcast aired, Ga-eun was terrified, and they realized they couldn't stay silent any longer. After the broadcast, Ga-eun's father allegedly met with the CEO, who initially agreed to meet their demands. However, as was apparently his pattern, the CEO later changed his mind and told the parents that the company would release an official statement. He then instructed Ga-eun to like it on her Instagram, thinking this would resolve everything. She followed his request, but soon after, he insisted she share the post on her own account. When they finally saw the statement, Ga-eun's mother said she couldn't hold back her tears since it was filled with falsehoods. She said, "Why should we post these lies? Why should the victim act like the perpetrator?" When the parents refused, Ga-eun's mother said the CEO's attitude shifted completely. Feeling cornered, they asked for a settlement, hoping that it would allow Ga-eun to move on without further harm and continue her passion. However, the CEO rejected their request, claiming that agreeing would be an admission of guilt. He then walked out, warning the parents that if they didn't settle, their daughter would suffer even more. Afterward, the company effectively removed Ga-eun from the group, but she didn't know about it until she saw news articles about her withdrawal. Even though she was no longer part of the group, the company insisted that her exclusive contract remained active, leaving her trapped, unable to pursue her dreams independently or escape the person who had allegedly caused her harm. In response, Ga-eun and her legal team filed a complaint and demanded a genuine apology from the CEO, along with the termination of her contract. They also plan to take legal action against Scandal supervisor for airing the recording without her consent. Ho Yoo-jung, a former staff member from 143 Entertainment, also spoke out at the conference, sharing her own experiences with the CEO. She explained that she had known him since her trainee days at YG and was eventually offered the A&R team role. As she managed the trainees, she started hearing complaints about the CEO's favoritism towards certain members. According to Yoo-jung, things got so bad that one member's mother even came to the company to address concerns about her child being treated unfairly. The CEO reportedly brushed it off as a misunderstanding and apologized. Ho Yoo-jung went on, "After that, I requested that female trainees not be called in separately and that any conversations go through me whenever possible, but nothing changed." Ho Yoo-jung shared the reason behind her decision to leave 143, revealing that protests had taken place outside the company's building, with banners criticizing the CEO for financial mismanagement and unpaid wages.
Yo, that was...
She found this situation deeply embarrassing, especially since the CEO was allegedly gifting luxury bags to certain members while the wages remained unpaid. Eventually,
Oh yeah, we did cover that where the wages they did not, the staff were paid unfairly, and yeah.
Yoo-jung chose to resign. Addressing accusations that Ga-eun had caused issues within the group, Yoo-jung denied them, stating that Ga-eun was actually the one who worked to mediate conflicts and foster harmony among the trainees. She concluded by revealing that the CEO had reportedly tried to solicit money from the parents of the members, claiming he could buy music chart rankings. Yoo-jung made it clear that she was sharing these details with the consent of those who had experienced them firsthand. In response to the conference, 143 Entertainment issued a statement claiming that the allegations presented were inaccurate. They emphasized that they are fully cooperating with the ongoing police investigation and are working to address any distortions based on solid evidence. The company also criticized Ga-eun and her team, accusing them of demanding a large settlement over an incident already reported last year, which they described as unilateral claims. According to 143, after their settlement offer was rejected, a criminal complaint was filed 6 months later. The company expressed confidence that the truth would come to light through the legal process and vowed to accept full responsibility based on the legal outcome. However, after their statement, another thing was revealed, and that was an apology letter from the CEO for misconduct. In the letter, the CEO, Lee Yong-hak, allegedly writes that he sincerely apologizes for the misconduct. Allegedly, he wrote, "Though I currently have contractual relations with 143 Entertainment and its affiliates, I will take full responsibility for my wrongful actions regardless of my legal status as CEO." The letter also acknowledged that there were ongoing contract issues and confirmed that Ga-eun would be fully granted the freedom to make her own decisions regarding these contracts. The letter was signed and dated October 25th, 2024. As of April 29th, there have been no new updates, and it seems that any future information will likely come through Ga-eun's legal team, the police, or possibly through media attempts to damage her reputation by 143. Despite this, many people are hoping Ga-eun gets the justice she deserves, praising her for speaking out despite the risks. It's clear that the CEO and the company are determined to portray Ga-eun and her family as money-driven liars. Ultimately, the hope remains that the truth will come out and Ga-eun will finally find the justice and peace she deserves.
Let me get you a cold one.
As the saying goes, the truth eventually comes to light. Eventually, at some point. All right, now let's go to the Johnny Somali stuff now.
Let's start with the tweets. So there's some really unhinged tweets. Now these tweets, mind you, these tweets were going off before he streamed. So all of this was happening before he did his YouTube streaming. I have censored both the information of Johnny because I don't want to give him any free clout. Once again, no free clout for Johnny and his accounts because we don't want to monetize Johnny. My intention is not to allow him to monetize, even by people giving him hate views. So I don't want to give Johnny a single view so he doesn't get any X monetization or YouTube monetization or anything, right? I am trying to make Johnny as poor as possible, just like Korea. I am following the Korean strategy with Johnny.
I respect it.
So I've censored out his info, but this is indeed Johnny down here. You can see Johnny. You can see his little page right there. And I'm also censoring out the other people just because I'm not sure whether or not they want to be included in this. So I don't want to get them attached to it. So I'm protecting their identities of everybody involved. So let's just read this. And once again, these are Johnny's words. There is a way to help you smooth things over with the Korean people. Stop posting everything that is perceived as hurtful. If you can't say something nice, don't say it. Laugh if you want, but flying on the radar in enemy territory attracts attention. So this person is trying to help Johnny. They actually give some genuinely good.
Honestly, I mean, Johnny, you should probably listen, but you're not going to. But I mean, he's trying to help him, but obviously, like, Johnny doesn't want help. Clearly,
good advice. Like, this is actually good advice. Like, no joke. Like, you should take this seriously. You should stop being that offensive, right? Like, that is actually a good strategy. Now, what does he say to that? Who said I want to smooth things over? They, and when he says they, he is speaking about the Korean people are cockroaches, right? Because this is a response to him saying smooth things over with the Korean people. So he literally calls the Korean people cockroaches publicly. He is at
that's insane.
trial in Korea. Everybody involved in the process, the prosecution, the judge, the law enforcement, they are all Koreans, right? Ryan here, I censor his name, says, it's a wonder that Japan colonized Korea, not the other way around. The stereotypes about Asians being conflict averse is less prominent with us. He probably wouldn't have got a lighter sentence, a lighter version of the Johnny Somali treatment. So Johnny responds to that and says, I get erect when I think of what the Japanese people did to your filthy. So he literally.
Did you just call the comfort women that?
Literally doubles down, calling Koreans this nasty language, right? This is during an active criminal trial. Do you know how dumb this is? This is so idiotic. During a trial, this is happening during the trial. This is just happening like last week. Once again, he is pending criminal charges. Let's continue. And now this is something that is just racist in general, right? But he's talking about Father Austin Metcalf and all this other stuff. And his response down here is hang that monkey emoji. So once again, using racist language. And let's continue here. Here's another one. Disgusting scenes from Seoul last night as Unigen supporters marched through a Chinese neighborhood, hurling racist abuse and terrorizing restaurant workers. They shouted slurs like C word and go back to China at staff that are simply working. So this guy is talking about, this reporter is talking about, anti-Chinese sentiment in Korea. And what does Johnny say? And mind you, this is Johnny who's been simping for the CCP with Hank. This is Johnny who has been saying he loves China with Hank, and he uses an anti-Chinese slur. They are all C word, right? And I'm not going to say it. You guys know what it is, but this is the language that he is using. And mind you, when he goes to prison, ladies and gentlemen, he will be in there with mostly Chinese people in the foreigner prison. How do you think they're going to feel about him using the C word to describe them? Do you think they're going to be happy about
They're not going to be too happy about that one.
that? The triad members or whoever else is in there, in Korean prison with him, what majority is Chinese. I don't think they're going to be happy with that.
Not
Okay,
too mu-
the word
not
is not
too.
comrades, right? The word is not comrades. Okay.
It has an I. Let's just say that.
Let's see. Oh, we got one
'Cause
more.
I don't know if it's appropriate, if it's okay to say on YouTube.
More here. Let's get one more here. So Johnny is complaining here about Streckbruder. This is this guy. I covered him a little bit. He's a nuisance streamer who is currently in Japan. He's in Japan, mind you. He is in Japan, not Korea. Japan, different country, a country which Johnny is banned from, right? And so Johnny responds when he says no charges. He says, "Oh yeah, he didn't touch the." statute. I pray for the day when Kim Jong-un glasses this whole country. He's in Japan. He posted this last week. So at the time this was posted, he was in Japan. So at the time posting, this is obviously April 17th. You see the date right here. So at that date, he was in Japan. So this is ridiculous. And once again,
Also, if Kim Jong-un ever decides to do something that's stupid, you have a bunch of countries that will probably retaliate North Korea pretty quickly.
it has nothing to do at all with Johnny's case or helping him out. And certainly he's just digging himself in by saying more nasty, really abusive things regarding the Korean people, and just tripling down on his statements regarding the country and the statue and everything else, and showing that he has no remorse for any of that.
None at all. Okay, this is going to be a bit awkward.
This is a disturbing link. So Johnny spent much of last night talking to underage girls on the spiritual successor of Chat Roulette or Omegle. I forget, I think it's like Omu TV or something else like that. So he spent a disturbing amount of time talking to underage women. And we're going to play some of that today. And mind you, as I play this footage, he is under investigation for child. So this is a man who is currently under investigation, criminal investigation for child. And he is deciding to spend time talking with children online. Let's play this. And this, unfortunately, it relates to someone who's in the Philippines. Let's play this.
The bitches and it makes them scared.
Yo. Wait, there's a kid.
So even Hank, let's hear it real quick. Hank, and listen, Hank is not the brightest crayon in the box. But when Hank says right away, that's a child, you should be concerned. You should be concerned. Let's play this out.
The bitches and it makes them scared.
Yo. Wait, there's a kid.
Hello. Where are you from? Philippines.
Philippines. Well, that's a kid.
Hey, free
So talking to someone in the Philippines.
my Vitaly.
Free.
Hey, free my Vitaly.
So already, well, there's your link with Free Vitaly and Somali. A lot of people like to break these things up, but they're hand in hand there.
Free
Hey,
Vitaly.
free my Vitaly.
Free Vitaly.
Free Vitaly.
Free Vitaly, man.
Let Vitaly out the cell.
Yeah,
I can understand.
I thought you speak English in Philippines.
they do. U.S. colony.
Hey, free Vitaly. Next.
Sorry.
Let's go next. Niggas only speak fucking English.
Yo.
The bitches and it
So
makes
once again, there's your Free Vitaly link there. I've seen a lot of.
Oh, by the way, U.S. has not been a colony for many years, so also the fact that he recognized as a kid, a little concerning. Yeah.
Internet stupidity about the nuisance streamer situation, but Johnny clearly thinks it becomes him, and it behooves him to defend Vitaly, and to try to get in that camp. But instead, when he spends his whole night, and I'm not joking, Googling age of consent as he's talking to these younger women.
That's kind of creepy.
Let's pull this up here. He was actually caught on camera, which is one of the reasons why he deleted this stream. So let's show it right here. Him
But the internet is forever, so clearly it got caught.
talking to children and Googling age of consent.
Yo, these Katie's are fire. Bro, you work here?
Whatever, kid.
Take notes.
Bank TV's video is most.
So here he got caught. So he was changing tabs. He was looking up. This is what he was looking up on his own. Age of consent UK. So he's looking this up in the UK. This is what he was Googling in the background. He got caught, and see how quickly he clicks off of it. Watch this.
Accurate.
Okay, then let's watch the instant replay.
See, he clicks off of it real quick.
Give me 2 seconds. Let's watch the instant replay.
Yeah.
I don't know why
He's probably drunk or something here.
our thing says Asia Consent UK. Viewers, please ignore that.
Yeah. See, he's telling them to ignore that because he's pulling it up and he's spending time researching these things as he's talking to these very, very, very young women. And here's another video of him here talking to someone on. Actually, I've got a better video. Let me pull one up here. This is actually a video that we got edited just before the show. So this is one that is like hot off the presses that we edited and censored. So I want to play this one because I know it's clean and better to show than perhaps the other one I would show. But once again, this is a person who's under criminal investigation. So think about this type of behavior and what it shows of his character and what it shows the prosecutors in Korea about whether or not he still represents a danger. Let's show this here.
Yo, what's up?
Let's
Long
start talking to her. Hello, what's up, lady? How are
Where
you?
are you from?
Where are we from? Where are you from?
China.
Oh,
중국 원수해.
you see the flag we got right there? We have China flag right there. You see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're Americans, but yeah. We love China.
can you?
Okay, first of all, fact check. First of all, yeah, that is a child. That's why they're censored right now. Also, Hank is not an American. Hank is not an American. Let's just be very clear. He will never be an American, and he is not an American. He wants to be an American very badly, but he is not.
Can you speak Chinese?
He can't.
He literally got booted from America for, I think, weapon charges or something like that. So he can't even get. He's not even. I don't think he's allowed to go back to America, or he can't be a citizen. No matter how badly he wants to be one, he can't. Where Johnny is. So Hank's Korean. Johnny's American. Hank wants to be American, but he can't.
Speak there. Let me put the guy back. You speak Chinese a little bit.
中国万岁！操日本，操韩国，操美国。我们的队伍，我们的队伍会像太阳，脚踏着祖国的大地。
Sorry.
What you apologizing for? It's your new wife. Hey, he's trying to move to China. You can go to China with him.
Mind you, these are all like this is super cringe, and this goes on for a while. But
I remember. I think I tried playing this together last week, and I just could not do it because it's really bad.
This is similar to what actually Slightly Homeless and I believe somebody else. I don't know if it was Suspendus or whoever else. They were actually arrested in Nepal for propositioning underage girl for marriage. Right. This is stuff that in many places would be criminal. Right. Going and like propositioning children for marriage.
Yo, what's good? Where are you from? Latvia? Never been there.
Hey, show your camera. Show your face.
Yeah, show her face.
No.
Thank you. Oh, wait.
Hank scaring the hoes. That's what I'm saying. Hank, you start screaming political shit on the bitches and it makes them scared.
Yo. Wait, there's a kid.
Hello. Where are you from? Philippines?
Philippines. Well, that's a kid.
Hey, free my.
He knows, right? And this is the Free the Vitaly one, right? We'll skip around here. I'm gonna skip around a bit.
What the f was that?
Oh, shit, they're kids.
Once again,
Colombia.
let me play that back because he says the line here.
What's up? Hey, don't skip us.
Hey. Are you a girl or a lady boy?
I don't think they have that in Kazakhstan. He made it be scared. Colombia!
Yo.
Hey, why do you make that face? What the f is that face? What the f is that?
Oh, shit, they're kids.
See, there you go. So he says it pretty clearly there. Like these are kids, and then Johnny, what does he say? He doesn't care. Right? He doesn't care.
The fact that even Hank of all people is like, dude, that is a kid, and Johnny doesn't care is astounding.
It's repeated, and this goes on for a bit. Like this goes on for a bit. I'm not going to play all of this, but this is just some of the most cringe stuff I've seen. That they spent an extreme amount of time on.
Hey, no, don't do that.
Wait, hold on. What happened there? Hold on. What happened there?
Yeah. I lived in South America a long time.
Where are you from?
I'm from America. He's from America.
Yeah, I'm from Texas.
He's not American.
Texas, Arizona.
He's not from America.
I plan to move to China. Though. Yeah.
Move to China.
I like Mexican.
What?
Mexico, they got the big booty, the big bunda, culo grande.
Can we go to Korea, bro? Please, let's do Korea. Yeah, Korea. Yeah, let's make that. Wait.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We're gonna do Korea. We're gonna do Korea. We're
stay
gonna
with them until
they don't even speaking back to us.
Yeah. Okay, so they're doing some wild there. It's super cringe. I'm not going to play all of it. It's 10 minutes of cringe, right? And there is some like this screen cap though. I will say like this like unhinged screen cap here is pretty good of Johnny, right? This is pretty good.
That's
Listen,
great.
This behavior, when it's coupled with the charges that are very serious, when it's coupled with deepfakes, when it's coupled with child harassment, when it's coupled with obstruction of business, that is for horrible, degenerate, nasty behavior around children, it is absolutely something serious that can be used against him and submitted as evidence against him. And certainly it will be. These last bits that I showed you there, and that's not even everything, just me showing you a selection of it, because frankly, I can't watch 10 minutes of that. I can't sit through 10 minutes straight of him, creeping on minors.
Honestly, who would be able to watch 10 minutes of that?
It is not going to look good for them when it comes before the Korean court. Not at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay. Let's do this one.
There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself.
Let's get into, because we were on the topic of him threatening me with the HIV needle. Let's get into him commenting about being a super spreader. This is just obviously not going to help his case, because once again, you're talking about all the activities you're doing with people, with women, and stuff like this is not going to make you look good at all. So we're going to get this as obviously courtesy of a lot of these clips today are courtesy of our friend Johnny Somali over there on X. So shout out to him.
But when I go to Japan in 2029, I'm gonna pull a Harrison. I kind of like what Harrison is doing. I like how Harrison is doing the super spreader stuff.
So, by the way, this guy, Harrison, who I don't want to give him any clout or attention, but he's talking about spreading STDs to women in Asia, women in Japan, women in Korea. It was really disgusting stuff. And once again,
that is disgusting.
I've talked about this in my other video. If you are intentionally infecting people with STDs, particularly HIV, there are specific laws, specific statutes about HIV that say, yeah, you can't do that. If you're intentionally passing this disease to harm others, right? You're going out of your way to do things like spreading these diseases, you can still be prosecuted. Now, a lot of these rules are still on the books. Now, people were afraid they were going to be used against people in the LGBT community. They were afraid of that. That never really panned out in most countries. But in this case, where you are intentionally attacking people with needles or spreading this in an intentional manner, that would be criminal. And by the way, it sounds like a lot of this stuff would be non-consensual. So you're getting into non-consensuality with these women. But let's continue here.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it right here to the camera. I'm not scared. If I ever caught HIV,
which, by the way, he's talking about all this high-risk behavior he's engaging in. He's talking about doing all these things that are high-risk behavior, and he's talking about the probability that he does have it. So he's this even him giving this little caveat isn't really a caveat, because he's saying, look, I probably have this because I've done all this high-risk stuff, right, et cetera, et cetera.
I would become a super spreader. I'll say it right now. I don't care. If I ever caught HIV, I'm going to become a super spreader.
So there we go. There we go. Right there. We've got another, and once again, he always tries to make it hypothetical, but these are things he's going out and doing.
Every production line is powered by pros. The part we play, equipping them with
that's a bit wild one. Okay, so we're gonna do all the big ones at the end. So okay, Chinese.
So let's
flag.
get into more of the video. So what have they been up to? The dynamic duo of Hank and Johnny Somali. So what they've been doing is they've been encouraging a communist takeover of Korea. They've been promoting that for a while, kind of simping for the CCP. So you kind of see them here. I'll show the flag waving. They're out in the park with a Chinese flag, kind of simping for the CCP.
Huh? What's up?
They said the word shibal, which is one of the most common Korean curse words, very common, in fact. So these Koreans were cursing at Hank and Johnny. At which point they say, "What's up? What's up?" So just to make that clear.
Huh? What's up? What? Shiba Sakia, Shiba Sakia, Shiba Sakia. Your mom, your dad. Try and play with us. Try and play with us. You better ride your bike away, little. Ride your little trike away. All right, let's get to work. Okay, so they get you mad because they're not wanting. Never mind. Hey, yeah, free brother Ayun. Brother Ayun.
So they're trying to, engage in sort of this pro CCP stuff. Mind you, by the way, a foreigner participating in any political demonstration in Korea is illegal. So that is illegal to participate in any political thing as a foreigner. You're not supposed to do that. That's supposed to be for Koreans only. And once again, that's their law, right?
Their law, their rules. You're supposed to follow that.
Their law, their way. Of course, for this behavior, he ends up getting a fine. Now, I'm going to talk about this fine and what happened here because the police do show up to this incident. You're going to see, and Johnny actually runs away when the police come and leaves Hanky Poo to get the fine. Let's watch it.
Yeah, step. Follow. And go.
What's your name?
They're asking how much is the ticket, Hank?
50,000.
50,000 Korean won. That's about 50,000 right now. Just so you know, let's do a little conversion. 50,000 won to USD. I think that's about $34. That's about $34 fine, right? So it's a very small fine. Now, mind you, they don't have a lot of money, but it's not a lot. It's
very small, but if you don't have money, then it's probably big.
not like a $1 million fine.
They charge you.
I'm gonna fight it.
They charge Hank 30. This is the perfect. It's actually better for your PC. This is the perfect angle, and TTS and media works. And I'll connect the speaker too. They gave you a ticket for causing anxiety.
Yes.
Communism in a country who's experienced oppression under imperial Japanese and probably also in history Chinese, and they're right next to two communist countries at the top, they're literally right under a communist country. So of course it'd be against communism.
But Hank, you gotta fight that.
I'm gonna fight it.
Because who's the victim of the anxiety?
So this is actually, I'm going to tell you guys something. This is like probably the only time I'm going to say this, which is kind of insane. But Hank will actually probably win this one. I know this is crazy, but I have always been the one to give you honest reporting and been the one to speak to Korean lawyers and people experienced in the Korean legal system. Hank will actually probably win this one, according to all of my sources inside Korea, because according to the sources, what they did was not really a huge crime, and they can challenge it. They can challenge it in a way that they'll just drop it. So it's probably, if Hank fights it, he probably will win, is what my Korean sources say. That said, does it make him look worse? Yes. Does the submission of those facts to the court make him look more of a disruption and more of a problem? Yes. But the fine itself, which is a very small fine, right, is not really, first of all, even if he wins it, it's $34. Somebody says, is that Hank Yu? Yes, it is Hank Honjong Yu right next to him there. So while he may fight it, and he will probably win, according to my Korean sources, the bigger issue is the fact pattern that he is continually being disruptive. He is continually committing crimes. He's continually going out and pressing his luck. He's continually confronting people.
Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts is a game.
Yeah, that's the thing. And here's the last two wins.
Well, the first one here is we have Yu Dal-gun. Now, some of you may know Yu Dal-gun. He, of course, is the UDT member, which is a member of the Korean version of the Navy SEALs, Yu Dal-gun. I did an interview with him. He's an awesome guy, great guy. We are still in contact with him. You know, I'm still up to date with him, and I have been the kind of go-to contact there to get information from Western content creators to Korea and to Korean content creators, including Yu Dal-gun. And that kind of played out today in a very interesting manner. And I want to talk about that today because no one has really talked about what came through and some awesomeness in the case of Yu Dal-gun. So in case you guys don't know, Johnny Somali challenged and provoked Yu Dal-gun to come find him and catch him and come after him. And in case you haven't seen the clip, we'll play it right here. This is, of course, Johnny challenging Yu Dal-gun back in the day. This is a while ago, but challenging him to come and find him. Watch this.
Dongdae Moon, come. Dongdae Moon, come. Dongdae Moon. Dongdae Moon, come to Dongdae Moon. Dongdae Moon. Come. Come, Dongdae Moon, come, nigga.
Yo,
He found out really quickly that he indeed did come and did indeed punch him in the face. So he was charged for that. He was charged for that criminally. He was
Okay, so it wasn't just pushing. He got literally punched.
charged for the actual assault, right? So that was a charge that came against him. He also was charged with stalking of Hank and of Somali. So Dal-gun did face criminal charges. And I knew this when I interviewed him. And there's a lot of stuff I left off the table because I knew that charges were pending and charges would come after him. Now, a lot of people are asking, why was he charged? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, you can't make exceptions in the system. You have to lay these things out and deal with them uniformly. That's one thing. Another thing is the discouraging of vigilante justice. Obviously, they don't want to have folks going out there and engaging in vigilante justice. So there's some sort of interest in that in the system. But we now have a relative conclusion to that saga. So Dal-gun was facing around 10 million won. It's about 7,000 USD in penalties, right? So that is in penalties to the government he had to pay. Now, $7,000 to the government, not to Johnny Somali, not to Hank, not to anybody else, to the government. It goes straight to the government. They don't get a dime of it. None of that goes into the criminal case towards Johnny or Hank or anybody else. It goes straight there. So here's what happened. And some people said, let's fund it. It's already done. It's already done. So here's what ended up happening. What ended up happening was some messages went out there, and I'm going to pull this one out here. And this is, I believe, the Deserto post. Let me get this one here. Which says, I just did what I had to do as a Korean citizen. Korean Navy SEAL YouTuber fined up to $7,000 after attacking. This was a little premature because at the time he had only really been fined about $2,000 roughly, and the rest of the $5,000 was pending. But that said, it was predicted to come in at that amount. And a American YouTuber, some of you guys may know him, Donut Operator, said, I will pay that fine for him. So Donut Operator came through and he contacted me and he said, how much is left on that fine? Because he had put up a PayPal. I showed it on my channel. Other people showed it. Dalgun put up a PayPal and he said, give me donation. So he had already collected about $2,500-3,000 worth. So out of that $7,000, he already had about $3,000. So when I talked to Donut and I told Donut this, I'm like, hey, look, he's already got about $3,000. He came through and he dropped the other $4,000 to you, Dalgun, right? Dropped it on him. So boom, shakalaka, Dalgun gets the cash he needs to fully pay off the government. Massive, massive, massive W. And this is something.
Well done, Donut.
Well, the first one here, Dalgun had to pay this, and obviously it's the win for Dalgun because he doesn't have to pay anything. It's all covered. But Hank and Johnny fully pay off the government. Massive, massive, massive W. And this is something that Somali was cackling about. He was laughing about. He was like, ha ha, he's got to pay money for this. Him and Hank were, having a grand old time in Hanky Poo's apartment. And of course, I put out this tweet. Big thanks to Donut Operator for covering the fines imposed for delivering a punch to Ramsey Khalid Ismail for his insults to the Statue of Peace, Korean people, and attacks on women and children, which are going to become more relevant later.
Thank goodness it's becoming more relevant
later. So in this case, that is now handled. That is now his criminal case is completely handled. And once again, this is an example of turning something that was supposed to be a Somali W. Somali was parading around. He was dancing around in his boxer shorts, with Hank, doing a striptease. And he was having a grand old time thinking that he'd sunk Dalgun. This was the end of Dalgun's life. It has not impacted him at all. In fact, Dalgun has said, if he collects more money, because he's likely with other donations to collect a little bit more, he said he will either do one of two things. He will put it towards towards a charity, or put it towards his civil suit. Now I'm going to explain this because this is actually very important. So Dalgun had to pay this, and obviously it's the win for Dalgun because he doesn't have to pay anything. It's all covered. But Hank and Johnny are threatening to file a civil lawsuit against Dalgun, which means the criminal case is done, and now Hank and Johnny are saying we're going to file a civil lawsuit because Hank will sue anything. Hank will sue like a fly for landing on his shoulder. So he's threatened a civil lawsuit. Now, here's the interesting thing about a civil lawsuit and why this is not going to be the W that people think it is. So here's the thing. A civil lawsuit in Korea requires a massive deposit. So you've got to pay the deposit. More than that, you've got to pay your own attorney's fees. So you don't get attorney fee recovery in a civil lawsuit. You've got to pay your own fees. Mind you, Johnny is broke. So where is Johnny going to find money for a massive deposit and on top of that to pay his own lawyer? This is not there's no public defender for a civil lawsuit. So he's going to have to pay his own lawyer. He's going to have to leave a huge deposit. And here's the kicker. Here's the real W. Here's the best part. Dalgun can just ignore it. In Korea, and in many other places, but in Korea, there's no requirement that you pay the civil judgment. So actually, Dalgun can just take a small hit to his credit. And mind you, he's actually already bought all the assets he needs. He's got a car, he's got a house, he's got everything else he needs. So he could go out and just say, "F you," to Johnny Somali and Hank and not pay a dime. You know, he's never going to be forced to transfer any money to Johnny Somali, even if he went and won his civil lawsuit. Even if he won. And by the way, he's got to do all these things and go to trial and win. Crazy stuff.
Spectrum abre cada día una puerta a posibilidades.
All right, so now we have this one.
Now, let's talk about the thing that Johnny thinks he won on, because he thinks he got a W. But it's very important to show that he did not. And of course, to do that, we've got a trusty, a dusty PowerPoint. That's right. We got a PowerPoint here today. Of course we do. Of course we do. All right. Here's today's RKI update. The last one for April over there for you guys. It's actually May for me. Still April for you guys. But let's get this PowerPoint going. So here's the W for Johnny. And I want to read this out. So this appears to be authentic. This appears to be authentic. So this appears to be a message on Kakao Talk from the Supreme Prosecutor's Office Criminal Justice Information System, which says Criminal Justice Information System business notification. We would like to inform you of the disposition result of your case. And then this is case numbers there. For more information, please visit Criminal Justice Portal, and there's a Criminal Justice Portal. Violation of the Child Welfare Act. Coercion of intercourse against a child's harassment. Not guilty, parentheses, insufficient evidence. Not guilty, insufficient evidence. So this was supposed to be a massive Somali W. And on its face, it does look that way and seem that way. But we're going to talk about why it's not. We're going to talk about why it's not. But let's first get to Somali gloating about it on X. And I have gotten rid of his information because I give zero free clout to his social media profiles. So Somali was saying, all the child welfare charges against me have been dropped. Not that one charge specifically, but whether or not the obstruction involves harassment of women and children is another thing, because in fact, women and children were harassed in other circumstances. But that said, all the child welfare charges against me have been dropped by South Korean prosecutors. Fake news media, gossip YouTubers, and wannabe journalists must retract their false claims immediately or face legal consequences for defamation. You've been warned. Tough guy Somali talking tough. Well, is everybody going down for defamation? Are we all doomed? Should we all quit the internet now? With Johnny Somali, should we all apologize? Should we all apologize?
No.
No. And there's 3 reasons why. 3 big reasons why. first, and I want to say not first or foremost, but first, Johnny Somali has 100% confirmed the authenticity of our leaks. So Johnny Somali literally told on himself and confirmed the fact that we knew this information, what, about a month ago? And we got this information out when no one else knew this information. We got this information out there. And what did we say? Did we say that he was guilty of it on this channel? Not on this channel. Now, maybe other channels may have said that, but on this channel, did I ever say he was guilty of it? No. I said he was under investigation for it. That exact word. That word means something. Guilty of a crime, convicted of a crime, and under investigation are two different things. It is factual that he was under investigation for that. And maybe, and here's the other thing too, under investigation for more charges related to similar acts. And this is where you got to be very careful with your language. And a lot of other channels don't do that. They're not careful. They're slop. They just put out stuff. They want to get it out real fast. They want to say stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. But saying that he was under investigation has always been correct. And there is no retraction issue on that. Zero retraction. In fact, he's confirmed that he was being investigated for that, which is great because it shows we were right. But it actually opens another door. So Somali threatened everybody with defamation. But what he doesn't know, and he's trying to silence the media. Mr. Free Speech advocate is trying to silence the media. But guess what he just did? By posting this publicly and confirming it himself, he has opened himself up to global coverage. He has opened himself up to every single country in the world under any law.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change. Going on vacation?
Oh, yeah. Road tripping with the fam.
All right, we'll stay right there in your car. We'll get you out of here in 10 minutes.
No, just 10 minutes.
Yeah, so you
Covering that he was under investigation for child sexual harassment because he is without a doubt confirmed it. And this is a matter of public interest.
You basically shot yourself in the foot, Johnny.
Because this is a matter of public interest, almost every country allows you to cover that because he is this criminal, to cover that openly. So even Korean media can cover this. Even Korean media can talk about this. And he's openly said it. So there you go. We can say he's been investigated for this. And not only that, all of YouTube, there's been YouTubers that haven't covered this. Now they can cover that. But beyond that, and here's the best part. Here's the juiciest part. Here's the spiciest part. Here's the stuff that hits you just right. The charges can be reopened.
Oh, snap.
Charges, ladies and gentlemen, can be reopened. There is nothing preventing them from being reopened with additional evidence that can be submitted. Unlike in America, well, not even in America, unlike in other places where sometimes charges go away, this went away at the prosecutor's level. So the prosecutors decided not to bring it. But guess what happens if there's a bunch of public sentiment from global media coverage that says, we believe that he should be charged with this, and we believe there is evidence? This never hit the trial stage. And because this was not dismissed at the trial stage, it was just the prosecutor saying, hey, we're not going to bring that, it can be reopened. Those charges can be brought again. There's nothing stopping it from being brought again. There's nothing stopping from new charges or different charges from coming down the line. So yes, it's not reopening a case. Whoever said that in the chat, it's not a case, it's a charge. Let me explain, because some of you are new to this, but my veterans, you know what it is. It's the stages chart. Dun, 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 dun. So this was dropped at stage 3. Stage 4 is trial. This was dropped at stage 3. At stage 3, they can do whatever the heck they want. They can take the charge away. They can add it. They can collect it. So step 1 is somebody files a criminal complaint. Step 2 is the police look into it. Step 3 is the prosecutor investigates it, and then they can go for indictment. Then they can bring it to trial. So this had gotten all the way to step 3 and almost to step 4. But there's nothing stopping it from coming back, from resurrecting itself at stage 3 and going to step 4 again. It's not going to have to go through the whole process again from 1 to 4. It would get reopened at step 3 and go right in, which is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Dunkin' $6 meal deal. Get a medium coffee, bacon, egg, and cheese.
All right, now we're gonna go towards the bit. Oh, here we go. Short one. This little one.
What fruit does Parker hate again?
If there's a warrant for Sly's arrest, isn't Sly being in Taiwan a criminal act on his visa that entering the country? Well, remember, you usually enter on what they call a visa waiver or a visa exemption. So you actually don't require a visa to visit these countries for a short period of time. So Taiwan has a visa-free entry for Philippine citizens, allowing them to stay for 14 days without a visa. So that means you are there without having to apply for a visa or anything. You're just there for a little bit of time. So Sly now has 14 days to figure it out, because he's going to have to come home and face the music when he lands in the airport back in the Philippines. So he's going to know, and people are going to know. And the word is going to get out there that he's been trying to evade justice. And when he comes back, well, he's going to have to find out. And we'll see if he tries to run to another country. But here's the thing I want to get out here. I want to let other countries like Japan, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, anywhere else he would run, Indonesia. I want those countries to know this guy is on the run. This guy is on the run. And I think that will help a lot to get that word out there, because remember, if the immigration authorities find out that you have a criminal history and you're on the run, they can send you, they can deny you easily. They did that with World of T-shirts, and they need to increasingly do that with more people. I think that is the best thing that can happen, is to just deny these people at the border and just say, nope, you're not allowed in. Are there other countries?
As you should.
Countries Sly King could go to or come back to Manila? And if so, how long could he stay away from the Philippines? Finally, could he plea in Manila Bay? He could go to other countries. So he could leave and try to go to Vietnam or Thailand or Indonesia or Laos or Cambodia or wherever. Yeah, there's a lot. So, I mean, you could go to a lot of countries: Andorra, Angola, Antigua, Argentina, Australia, Austria, Bahamas, Bahrain, Barbados, Belgium, Belize, all the way down to Vietnam, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. But that said, is he going to have the funds to go to all those? And at what point are countries going to get wise to this, especially with this coverage and especially with the amazing Philippine community around the world that's going to inform law enforcement that, hey, this guy is in the country and he shouldn't be. He can visa-free travel to Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Macau, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Brunei, Fiji, and Israel. If the Singaporean government found out that they had a wanted criminal, do you think they're like light on crime? Like that they're very easy on crime?
Not at all.
Think about Israel too. Israel, who just kicked out Johnny Somali. Do you think if they found out that there's another person that's a nuisance streamer that, was on the same network that was hosting Johnny and, all the other nuisance streamers, Do you think they're going to take kindly to that?
No.
I don't. And I'll promise you, if he ends up in Thailand, I know it's on that list. Your boy over here is going to take care of that one. So there, there's going to be some consequences there, and he will eventually have to go back. Once again, he's lugging around his whole family. I don't think his whole family can stay for that long either. I mean, it's something that's not really sustainable. You're trying to, support your whole family to travel indefinitely. That's really expensive.
That's not gonna work. And here comes the long videos. Here we go.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know is performance and durability.
All right, so let's get into what happened here today. So in case you guys don't know the guy we're going to be talking about today is Sly Kane. He is a kick streamer. We'll pull up his current look right now. So this is how he currently looks right now. He has changed his hair color because he is trying to hide out. So here he is. Now he is now in Taiwan. So he is hiding out. He fled from the Philippines to Taiwan. This is Sly Kane, Christopher P. Dantes. He was the cameraman for Vitaly. He knew what he was doing when he was doing it. He said we committed a bunch of crimes verbally. So he had knowledge that crimes were broken. He then proceeded to hang out in the Philippines countryside and then ran away to Taiwan. So now this is him in Taiwan. That's why it's the thumbnail, that photo on the thumbnail. He's changing his hair color to try to confuse people, wearing a hat. Really interesting strategies here. Now, the thing is, before this, when I previously covered this, some people were trying to debate and saying, well, he's not really wanted. He's not really wanted. There might be an investigation, but he's not really wanted. And one thing on this channel that I am very specific about is legal definitions. There is investigation. There is maybe wanted for questioning. And there is charged. Like this person has been charged with a crime. And then beyond that, there's a warrant, which you can issue for someone's arrest. So there's all these terms and they mean something. So if the police are just looking for someone, they might not necessarily be yet charged with a crime. They might just want to talk to that person. Now, originally, we had heard from Ramula, from Secretary Ramula, who was really been spot on about the Vitaly case and was the point person on the Vitaly case, that they were looking for all the accomplices of Vitaly. And they made a clear statement they were looking for them. However, today, and we're going to play the video, and thank God there's a automatic translation of this, but he is officially a wanted man. And there's proof in the pudding that he's a wanted man. Like this isn't me debating this, or this is me this is me stating a fact, which we now have from the office of the president. Let's get to the video that pretty much confirms all this. So this is a video with the PCO Undersecretary Clara Castro. So this is from the presidential office. So this is not this is a palace press briefing, as they call it. This is a official briefing. So this is not me saying this. This is not me making this up. This is not me, coming up with some theory. These are all the official statements and words of the undersecretary, right? So let's just go here. This is the relevant part of the press briefing.
Medyo release na po ng kaunti. Just recently, nagkaroon ng statement si Pangulong Marcos tungkol doon sa Russian-American vlogger na si Vitaly. Any update doon sa nagsisilbing videographer niya, since ang sinasabi din naman ng mga otoridad, meron ding liability yung kanyang videographer. Any update na po tungkol doon?
Tama po kayo,
So,
hindi po nagustuhan.
first of all, let me just say, awesome question by that reporter, really quick, to clarify this, because this needed to be officially clarified with more specificity. So it's very important that they came in and were specific and asked a very specific question. So W, Philippines reporter, for asking the right question and being specific, right? Specific.
Ng Pangulo ang ginawa na ito na isang Russian vlogger dito pa sa bansa at dito sa ating mga kababayan. Kaya nagkaroon din po, ngayon po ay humaharap sa kaso itong Russian vlogger ng mga kasong unjust vexation, alarms and scandal, theft, and attempted theft. Pero para po dito sa sinasabing videographer or cameraman po, nakasama po ni Vitaly ngayon po ay nasampahan po siya, ayon po sa PNP, nasampahan na po siya ng kaso. Itong si Christopher Dantes, alias Sky Lane.
Okay, so there we go. And it's Sly Kane. I think she says Sky Lane, but it's Sly Kane. But she says his name. So there can be no confusion, right? There can be zero confusion. And she's being very specific about what's happening here. So saying this person specifically, once again, this is coming from the presidential office, right? Not me. It's coming from the presidential office saying we're charging this guy, right? So let me rewind it just a little bit here because I want to have that repeated a little bit. Okay? So this is a very important part here.
Maharap sa kaso itong Russian vlogger ng mga kasong unjust vexation,
so Vitaly is charged.
Theft, and attempted theft. Pero para po dito sa sinasabing videographer or cameraman po, nakasama po ni Vitaly Torovotsky. Ngayon po ay nasampahan po siya ayon po sa PNP.
So see those words right there. Now he has been charged.
So he's been charged now.
Here's what I was looking for. These are the words, right? Now he has been charged.
Dang it. There.
Criminal charges against him. He's a wanted man, right? Bingo. I don't need to say anything. They said it, right? It's right here. So everybody, and there was so much cope from Sly Kane saying, oh, I got nothing against me. I got nothing against me. Argue with the presidential office. Call the presidential office and argue with them if you want to argue with this. You know, he was talking a whole lot of smack, saying he was going to sue me for defamation. He was going to come after me. But who's the one who's facing criminal penalties right now, buddy? Yeah, that's you. That's you, right? That's you. Let's continue here.
Nasampahan na po siya ng kaso. Itong si Christopher Dantes, alias Sky Lane. Nasampahan po siya ng kasong unjust vexation.
So first charge, he is charged with unjust vexation. That's the same charge Vitaly has. So he's charged with in an equal capacity to Vitaly in unjust vexation.
In relation to RA 10175 and RA 995 at saka.
So I'm going to pull up those two statutes, RA 10175 and RA 995. So I'm going to pull those up in a second once this finishes, but I want to let this finish first. But just so you know, those are also criminal statutes. So those are two more criminal statutes that he has been hit with.
Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act. Yan po ang latest po mula sa PNP.
Just to give us an idea, Yusek, ano po ba yung pwedeng maging kaparusahan doon sa mga kasong naisampa dito kay Christopher?
Sa aking pagkakaalam, unjust vexation malamang po ay mga 30 days na imprisonment or fine. Tignan na lang po natin kung gaano ba ang magiging lalim ng mga ebidensya para malaman din natin at matetermine na kung anong klaseng parusa kung sila naman po ay magiging makukonsider na liable or guilty.
So since nasampahan na siya ng kaso, Yusek, anytime pwede na lumabas yung arrest warrant?
Hindi pa po, kasasampa pa lang po ng
Kasasampa
kaso.
pa lang.
Bibigyan po. Okay, tayo po. Sa administrasyon po ni Pangulong Marcos, ang lahat po ay binibigyan ng karapatang magdepensa. For them to exercise the right to due process. Hindi po ito babalewalain ng pamahalaan, lalong-lalo na po sa pamumuno ni Pangulong Marcos. Importante po ang due process sa mga Pilipino.
Okay, so that's the question right there. So, okay, yeah, he still gets due process, is what it's saying. Like, he doesn't waive his rights to good process. By the way, Philippines press is super well-mannered. I want to say, someone said in the
Fully professional.
chat, like, the press is very well-behaved. Compared to, like, American press, which is a mess, they're, like, yelling and screaming and shouting, and they're rude. Like, Philippines press is, like, very organized. I actually really appreciate that versus the chaos, the zoo of the American, presidential press room, and that's under any administration. It's just always a mess in America. But anyways, of course, and I will say this too: everybody deserves due process. That's fine, and he is granted due process, which means he gets to go to court and plead his case. But to be honest, I don't think he has much of a case because
I don't think there is one.
Problem with these nuisance streamers is they record themselves. So all of the evidence is right there in front of them.
They literally recording themselves doing the crime, so there's not much case that they can make against to help themselves.
The judge, the jury, whoever is looking at the case. So there's not much to argue with because it's all on camera. It's all on camera. So what are you going to argue with? But hey, you're allowed the right. You can try. If you want to argue. All right. Let's continue with this. So he got charged under these Republic Acts, and I want to bring these up real quick here. This is kind of the legal side of it, right? So here's the two things that were brought up that he was charged under. That is the Republic Act defining cybercrime, providing for the prevention, investigation, suppression, and imposition of penalties. That is Republic Act 10175. Right, so you go down here, it talks about cybercrime convention. So one of them is a cybercrime act, and I think that's appropriate because, of course, there were indeed cyber crimes that were committed here with this. So I think that's an appropriate that's an appropriate anchor. Now I know they talked about strengthening their cybercrime law, but if they're willing to pursue it, that means they feel they have enough evidence to charge them under the cybercrime statute. The other statute, which is interesting, is RA 9995. And this one appears to be a statute, once again, this reading the title, defining and penalizing the crime of photo and video voyeurism and prescribing the penalties thereof and for other purposes. So this would appear the Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act of 2009. So in the world of law, any law that came out in the last 20 years is new. So this is a new law. So it probably takes into account the fact that video and photos can be transmitted over the internet, right? And it even has the word internet in it, so it knows the internet exists. Like a lot of the older laws are pre-internet, so they've got that in it. So talking about taking photos without people's consent, transmitting them. And in this case, what really can be layered on and what a lot of countries can add to these statutes and acts is they can add a line that says if they are doing this and profiting off of it. So if they're doing this plus making money, then it should be even worse of a crime. I'm in support of that. Now, this statute doesn't appear to have that, but I would be in full support of making money off of photo and video, making the crime worse, because that will really help in deterring nuisance streamers. So that is the second one as well. And then I believe unjust vexation, he was also charged with as a third. That I don't think that's a specific statute. At least she didn't give a statute. She just put that in common law. Now, even if it's 30 days, I think that's great. But the other thing would be he's got to wait for trial. And if he's got a similar wait for trial as Vitaly, well, that's kind of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit of a thing. Okay, so... Okay, the Korean...
We take
broke.
hundreds of...
And Korea's laughing at him. And all these are linked in the description.
It's what it's supposed to happen.
I was a healthy guy. I've worked full time since I was 13 years old. Now I can't.
Okay, so Korean media is on top of Johnny. This is a subtitled, so mind you, there may be some errors in the subtitling, but this is an 8-minute piece that the mainstream Korean news did on Johnny Somali. And I want you guys to pay attention to what they're focusing on, because before this, Johnny Somali was like a little segment in the news, like a 10-second segment. The news are now doing full segments. So 8 minutes is a full news segment on Johnny Somali and nuisance streamers. So this is huge. This means that the public is now focused in on this case and wants severe punishment for this guy. And pay attention to what Korea is looking at in this. This is something I haven't seen any other channel bring up. But mind you, these are things that Koreans are sending me.
Finally, they're focusing on the statue aspect.
So oftentimes what you guys think matters is stuff that maybe like Asmongold sees, or what other reviewers might see or go over, what Atozi brings up. But to be honest, and I love Atozi, he's my bro, but what Atozi covers isn't necessarily what matters to Koreans. He's talking to an English-speaking audience, and I try to synthesize both information that's important to Korea and information that's important to America. But what's really interesting is watching these videos, because we see what Koreans care about. And that's what we can try to communicate to the prosecutor, communicate to the judge, to try to get him behind bars, to try to speak their language, to try to do what Johnny never did in understanding Koreans and understanding their interest and not just thinking of yourself. So let's go over this and let's watch this video. Once again, this is KBS. This is a major news channel doing a segment on
KBS. That's my radio station.
Johnny Somali.
는 외국인 남성. 온갖 추태와 부적절한 행동으로 무리를 빚은 미국 국적의 유튜버 조니 소말리입니다. 편의점에서 컵라면을 쏟는 등 업무 방해 혐의로 기소돼 출국도 금지됐는데 이후 생활고를 겪고 있다는 소식이 전해졌습니다. 소말리의 재판 과정 등을 알려온 한 유튜버
Quoting your boy legal mindset, baby.
가 소말리 지인이 보낸 메시지를 공개했는데요. 변호사 비용이 너무 부담스럽다며 후원을 요청하는 내용이 담겼습니다.
So this is remember, this is Korean news. What are they focusing on? They're focusing on the fact that he is out of money. So to Koreans, it is hilarious that he is out of money, that he's broke, that he's begging on.
That is hilarious.
He's begging on Telegram. And this is Hank's begging text, begging for money, saying, oh, Johnny has a travel ban. He's going to starve. He's going to starve if you don't pay for these fees. Oh, the fees are too much. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yes. It's great. It's great.
출국 금지 상태인 소말리는 한국에서 일도 할 수 없다며 지인인 자신이 도와주지 않으면 굶어 죽을 것이라고 덧붙였습니다. 지난해 9월 입국해 한국을 비하하고 조롱하는 콘텐츠를 제작하고 재판 과정에서도 불량한 태도를 보인 소말리. 폭행과 마약 등의 혐의로도 경찰에 고발된 상태인데요. 소말리 근황이 전해지자 누리꾼들은 자업자득이라는 반응을 내놓고 있습니다. 서경덕 성신여대 교수는 소말리의 처참한 몰락이라며
So what they're saying there, and by the way, understand that sometimes in Korean, the pronouns don't come out right, so they don't translate he and she correctly. So sometimes they're So when those she, when it's translated she, that actually is he. That's because the Korean language and translation of pronouns. So understand that that was really he. So what the professor was saying is it's his own fault. So meaning him running out of money is his fault. So let's understand the Korean mindset. The Korean mindset is you should have thought about your finances before you effed around. What the professor is saying in a very polite way is FAFO, You messed around and now you are financially finding out, which I couldn't agree with more.
재판 중인 소말리에게 강력한 처벌을 내려 선례를 만들어야 한다고 강조했습니다.
I love this news setup.
이어서 이슈 클릭입니다. 한국은 이제 외국인들에게 꽤 인기 있는 관광지 중 하나가 됐죠. 그런데 한국을 찾은 일부 외국인 유튜버들의 행동이 논란이 되고 있습니다.
And by the way, to be very clear about this, so they're expanding the issue to a broader issue, which is exactly my point. Is that this is not just about Ramsey, this is about all the nuisance streamers. And also understand in Korea, they use the word YouTubers, but that word really means streamers. So it includes Kick, it includes Twitch, it really includes all platforms, but they literally use the word YouTube. So like YouTube eso, right? Like it's a YouTuber, right? Like they're talking like YouTuber is like what you talk about somebody, even if they did Twitch, you might call them like a YouTuber. Right? They just use that general term. So just understand that. So they're connecting the dots that this is going to be a problem with other streamers, which is exactly what we wanted them to connect.
외국인 유튜버가
So we got this guy, Black Dave, who swears he didn't assault somebody, but it looks like from the video that he
did, though.
Did, which they're going to play again here. He fled Korea. He had to flee Korea after this incident here.
다짜고짜 한 남성에게 다가가 카메라를 들이댑니다. 이 남성의 불쾌한 표정이 카메라에 포착되더니 이내 두 사람 사이 물리적 접촉이 생긴 듯 카메라가
My name's Travis Sarno. This will be my 12th year in Major League Baseball. I'm Chase Sarno, former Major League shortstop.
흔들립니다. 남성은 바로 차를 타고 떠났지만 유튜버는 남성을 향해 거친 욕설을 퍼붓습니다. 이 장면은 호주 인터넷 방송 플랫폼을 통해 고스란히 생중계됐는데요. 이후 외국인 유튜버가 한국인을 폭행한 게 아니냐는 비난이 소셜 네트워크를 통해 확산하고 있습니다. 비슷한 시기에 입국한 또 다른 유튜버 역시 김치는 역겹다. 일본이 위안부를 통해 한국인에게 좋은 유전자를 줬다는 등 비하 발언.
Do you see what they're looking at these statements and they're looking at these disgusting statements they're making about Korean food, about the comfort women. It's disgusting. They don't like it. They don't want these people to be here. And any way they can stop them, they're trying to stop them. I don't think any non-Koreans have even looked at this video, and this is crazy in how much insight it gives you into the Koreans' point of view.
으로 논란을 가중시키고 있는데요. 이처럼 외국인 유튜버들의 만행이 잇따르자 서경덕 성신여대 교수가 일침을 가했습니다. 서 교수는 자신의 SNS에 한국에서 평화의 소녀상에 입맞춤을 하는 등 온갖 기행을 서슴지 않았던 조니 소말리의 영향이 크다며 현재 형사재판 중인 그에게 강력한 처벌을 내려 본보기를 만들어야 한다고 지적하면서 민폐 유튜버들의 추방까지 주장했습니다.
미국 국적의 한 남성 유튜버가 평화의 소녀상에 입맞춤을 하는 등 부적절한 행동을 하며 논란이 일고 있습니다.
So back from general nuisance streamer to specifically Johnny. By the way, I freaking love this Johnny face here with like the shocked Johnny face. It's kind of like the FAFO face. I do like this clip. That's why I used it as my thumbnail today.
결국 경찰 수사가 진행되며 이 남성에겐 출국 정지 조치가 내려졌는데 오늘 다른 유튜버에게 폭행을 당하는 일도 벌어졌습니다. 이원희 기자입니다.
한 외국인 남성이 편의점에서 컵라면을 쏟고 면을 집어던집니다. 평화의 소녀상에 입맞춤하는 모습을 SNS에 올린 이 남성. 지하철에선 음란물을 틀고 지나가는 여성에게 성희롱성 발언.
So they see what they got there, guys? Focus on what they got there. Played pornography on the subway. This is something that I said was a crime, and they're calling it out too. And they're saying, yep, that's an issue, right? That's an issue. Remember, Johnny thought he could get away with that because it's text speech. Nope. Just because it's somebody else sent it doesn't get you away with it.
합니다. 이 남성은 미국 국적의 유튜버 조니 소말리로 해당 영상은 모두 유튜브를 통해 실시간 방송됐습니다. 결국 편의점에서 난동 부리는 등 업무를 방해한 혐의로 경찰이 소말리를 입건했습니다. 소말리는 출국 정지 조치됐는데 오늘 오전엔 서울 송파구의 한 거리를 지나가다 한 한국인 유튜버에게 폭행을 당했습니다. 유튜버 남성은 이곳 건물을 따라 나와 소말리를 때렸습니다. 이후 신고를 받고 출동한 경찰에 현행범으로 체포됐습니다.
So this is the confrontation with Dalgun. So he's talking about the place where Dalgun followed him out and took him out.
먼저 와가지고 대기하고 있었죠. 여기 고시원인데 뭐 하루 빌려주고 막 그런 건가 봐요.
소말리는 걸어서 병원에 갈 정도의 가벼운 부상을 입은 것으로 알려졌습니다. 앞서 소말리는 지난 24일과 27일에도 유튜브 라이브 방송 도중 다른 시민들에게 폭행을 당했습니다. KBS 뉴스 이원입니다.
평화의 소녀상에 입을 맞추는 외국인 남성.
Do you see how long this segment is, guys? Do you see how much
That's a long segment.
information has gone out? Before we would have 10 seconds of Somali. Look at how long this is. We're only halfway done. This is how this shows you the level of interest. This shows you exactly how much they are really focused on this and why continued coverage of this issue is leading to consequences for Ramsey. Because the pressure has never been let off, because the pressure has constantly been on him. I've talked about the Somali cycle, right? Because there's never been a break in the news coverage. He hasn't gotten away with it.
He constantly does something every day, so there's not going to be a break on coverage.
Gets away with it because people take pressure off of him, because there's no coverage, because he kind of is able to kind of slink back into the darkness, and because of that, he will get away with stuff. But that is not happening this time. And let me pull this off real quick and just show you guys what I'm talking about when I talk about Somali cycle here, because some of you may have not gotten that memo or gotten this PowerPoint, and I'm very proud of my PowerPoints. I'm very proud of my PowerPoints, or rather my Canva presentations, right? But you can see here, normally what happens with Johnny is he acts out, rage ensues, no coverage, the heat dies down, and he escapes. That's what happens normally with Johnny. But now, because of our coverage, and this is what happened in Japan, by the way, the heat dies down. He got away with a slap on the wrist. Now we've got cabbages. We've got Korea. And in Korea, he is acting out, rage is ensuing, but we are covering it, and it's going viral. And not just on my channel, on other channels. It's getting all around. In all the clip channels and all the other channels, it is getting around, going viral. Koreans are clipping my channel. Other people are clipping this. They're translating it, and the pressure on him is increasing. And because of that, because of this new cycle, the cabbage cycle, we'll call it, it is becoming worse and worse and worse for him in South Korea. And he is absolutely in some trouble, because that is the new cycle. That is the new norm, not what he's used to in other places. And that's why he hates me, because of that.
온갖 추태와 부적절한 행동으로 무리를 빚은 미국 국적의 유튜버 조니 소말리입니다. 편의점에서 컵라면을 쏟는 등 업무 방해 혐의로 기소돼 출국도 금지됐는데 이후 생활고를 겪고 있다는 소식이 전해졌습니다. 소말리의 재판 과정 등을 알려온 한 유튜버가 소말리 지인이 보낸 메시지를 공개했는데요. 변호사 비용이 너무 부담스럽다며 후원을 요청하는 내용이 담겼습니다. 출국 금지 상태인 소말리는 한국에서 일도 할 수 없다며 지인인 자신이 도와주지 않으면 굶어 죽을 것이라고 덧붙였습니다. 지난해 9월 입국해 한국을 비하하고 조롱하는 콘텐츠를 제작하고 재판 과정에서도 불량한 태도를 보인 소말리. 폭행과 마약 등의 혐의로도 경찰에 고발된 상태인데요. 소말리 근황이
And let me
전해지자
skip ahead here, because some of this is repetitive, but I want to get to there's a little part here, I think, towards the end. Yes, that shows some other information. So let's skip back here. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay.
합니다. 이 남성은 미국 국적의 유튜버 조니 소말리로 해당 영상은 모두 유튜브를 통해 실시간 방송됐습니다.
So towards the end, they get into him sexually harassing women, which I think is a big deal with this, because you see a lot of his behavior has been directed towards women and children. He's directed a lot of this targeted specifically at women and children. And this is a big issue, because he's targeting people that are weak. He's targeting people that are vulnerable. He's targeting people that he thinks he can take advantage of, children. Which is not okay, not permissible, and no country should have to allow that. And the Korean media is on it. They're doing these long segments on it. So I just want to say the Korean news knows, the Korean people know, and that's why we're titled Korean Knows He Must Pay. The Koreans themselves are understanding we have to punish this guy. We need to do this. And it's getting big.
All right, that's the last thing I have. Unless something crazy happens with MADEIN or anything Johnny, I will see y'all Monday. Hopefully next week is a bit more normal, less stream heavy than it was this week. But, MADEIN happened. Press conference interview happened, so I had to cover that, even though I didn't understand any of the language. Even if I didn't understand what was being said, but cover what you have to go. Anyone watching on the rewatch after this is already done live, if you like the stream or any of my videos, like the videos, maybe consider subscribing. Leave your thoughts in the comments about any topics regarding this. But I will see you all next week. Bye.
Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
And the quest for a champion begins today.
The anticipation has been building, and it is finally time. We are live.
Are you
That is a really.
Can you get over the roof there?
Oh my!
Oh my! What a play! What a grab!
Another jump here off the high ground. Super goes forward, but gets stuck up. The EMP comes in, and ding! He rains down hell from above.
Here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two. Looking for a bit more, gets another one.
Tuno's down again. That heralds disaster generally for the fusion. And Carpe wasn't far behind. Prophet! He's killed 4 players now on his own.
From Vancouver, locks him in the sound barrier. Sound is huge. The bomb coming in from China. Oh my God! He does it again.
Flutter now moving onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot after headshot after headshot.
We're going to try and circle around. I'm going to call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh. Makes me happy, and Short Force switches to the Widowmaker at just the right time.
Oh, the Gravy!
I'm the best person in the world.
Oh my word!
I mean, you could
could have told me that you spoke English, honestly.
The fans never thought they'd see this day. It took 43 matches. Feels like a really emotional moment here.
Sorry.
All right, bye.